compared to karmic debt? When you incarnate and
Yes.
you have karmic debt in this society, a lot of people say that negative things happen because of karma, but what has that got in relation to following your bliss?
Thank you. The answer is that karma is completely self-imposed. It is not something that happens outside. It is simply the recognition of balance. That's all it is. And when you talk about such a thing or define such a thing as a so-called karmic debt, all you're saying is that you chose to come into this life with a certain theme of exploration, and that's it. And that you will explore that theme to create knowledge, expansion, and balance within yourself. It is not coming from something that you did some other place, some other time, because remember, all lives exist now. Everything exists now. There is only now. Look around, ask yourself, what time is it? Now, always. It will never be, oh, it's the past. Oh, wait a minute, it's the future. No, it's always now. That means every other life is actually coexisting simultaneously with this one. So if you make a cross connection to another life, to an experience in another life, you're making that connection from this one now in order to download information or cross-connect experiences to serve you in the theme you chose to explore in this life, while at the same time all the other lives are doing the same with you, pulling from you and gaining experience from you that they need to apply in the themes they chose to explore in those lives. So karmic debt is really nothing more than the recognition that when you choose a particular life, you are crystallizing a certain set of ideas that represent your theme of exploration. So it may seem in a sense to be somewhat predestined, but it is very loose as a destiny. It is likened to the idea of saying, you will travel down this hallway. That hallway represents that theme, that life. But how you travel down that hallway is up to you. You are not in any way, shape, or form locked into a certain expression in that hallway, except to travel down that hallway. And that's it. If you want to walk, if you want to run, if you want to meander, if you want to walk upside down, you want to open every door or just go straight to the end, that's up to your free will in combination with the destiny of the hallway you chose in this physical reality. And in combination, those things have been referred to as karmic debt. But karma is completely self-imposed, and the whole idea really is that once you realize karma is completely self-imposed, there is no more karmic debt. Does that make sense? You are then free, truly free to understand, to choose what you prefer. So the so-called karmic debt is simply a recognition that there may have been times when you chose things that are out of integrity, chose things that are out of alignment with your true self, and now you are choosing some way, shape, or form to balance that act. But karmic debt has a very strong definitional implication in your society that makes it sound like something that is very difficult to change. And all it is the recognition that you have the freedom to choose. And to choose what you prefer. And to be who you really are. And once you choose that, then karma evaporates as a concept. It only just becomes the idea then of reflection and choice and balance. And from that point forward, you only choose what you prefer, while validating all other choices at the same time. You must validate what you don't prefer in order to be capable of choosing what you do prefer, because everything has to be equal. You cannot give more energy and more charge to the things you don't prefer, because otherwise you're actually choosing them. So the idea is that when all choices, negative and positive, are valid, are equal, are beautiful as choices, then you can choose what you prefer without invalidating what you don't. And sometimes you even use the idea of what you don't prefer to more clearly illustrate what you do. So you can bless the idea of the things you don't prefer, because they teach you more and more. By teaching you who you are not, they teach you who you are. Make sense? Does this answer your question? Yes, yes, yes? All right, thank you.
Blessings, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Yes. My name is Michaela. I have a
All right,
question.
if you insist.
Thank you for coming and sharing with us today.
Yes, speak up and be bold so that all may hear you.
My throat is a little bit torn today, but
oh, all right.
I have a question about language.
Language.
Yes, language.
Yes.
I'm noticing around the linguistic relativity principle talks about the way we think about the world is directly related to the way that we talk about it.
Absolutely.
And the way we communicate.
Yes.
Can you talk more about how important language is in creating reality?
It can be very important, especially because it is very revealing of your inner unconscious definitions very often, and can point you squarely to the definitions that require change. Again, the idea is that you're very fortunate in a variety of languages to have so many different kinds of expressions that point out very clearly what it is you really are all about and what you prefer. The symbology is very, very distinct. As we said in the beginning when we began speaking through the channel, this is all about remembering who you are. The idea literally thus tells you, by using the word in that way, that what you have done for thousands of years is you have dissociated yourself, fragmented yourself. Thus then, by recollecting, by recollecting all the fragments, you become whole. So the idea is to pay attention to what comes out of your mouth as an indicator of what you truly believe. Because very often we will hear many of you using words that are very, very clearly pointing out why you may be having certain difficulties, because they are revealing to you how you think, and how you think is based on what you believe. So your thoughts, your words, your behaviors, your emotions are all secondary level phenomenology to what you define or what you believe to be true. You cannot have, here's the important point, you cannot have an emotion. You cannot have a feeling. You cannot have a thought. You cannot have a behavior without first having a definition. Because when you don't have a definition for something, you don't know how to feel about it. You don't have a thought about it. You don't know what to think. But as soon as you define it, then all the feelings, all the thoughts, all the behaviors come out. So your words, your behaviors, your feelings are very good indicators that you can use to track back and find out, if I think this way, if I say these words, if I feel like this, what would I have to believe is true in order for that to come out of my mouth, in order for that to be my behavior, in order for me to feel the way I do? What would I have to believe is true? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
I'm also actually really curious about psychic telepathy.
Yes, but remember, before you continue, here's another perfect example of how to allow your language to reveal what is actually happening. Because telepathy, as you have coined it in your language, is not an accurately precise definition. Telepathy is telempathy. Telepathy is emotionally activated, not mentally activated. People who are in love often know exactly what each other is thinking, don't they?
Yes.
So what is telepathy? Telepathy is not reading each other's minds. It's not even reading each other's hearts. It's being on the same wavelength and having the same feelings and the same thoughts at the same time. It is simultaneity. That's what telepathy is. Simultaneity. If you're on the same wavelength as someone else, you will automatically know exactly what they're thinking and exactly what they're feeling, because those are your thoughts and feelings too. So you're not actually pulling it from someone's mind. You're simply walking a similar path, swimming together, flying on the same level. And that's why people who are in love very often exhibit telepathy all the time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that answer the question?
Yes, I just want to make sure I have one more key in the alchemy of how to activate this in us.
One moment.
Yes.
One moment. Bon voyage. Wish them bon voyage.
Bon voyage.
All right, continue.
So I've noticed in a trinity that in order for us to have love and happiness, we need all truthiness. Can you talk about truthicipation and living all truthy?
We have been talking about living, as you say, all truthy. The idea is to be true to who you are. by acting on your highest joy with integrity, without expectation. That's all it takes to be in alignment with your true self. That's all we have been talking about, is true self. Make sense?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Blessings.
And to you as well.
Chicka 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 Bashar, brother. God bless you.
All right, good day to you as well.
Yeah, so just wanted to get this straight. So all the transformation of consciousness, Mayan calendar, rainforest, oceans, plastic, GMOs, chemtrails, all that stuff, we're moving towards creating our own reality in a dimensional shift. Is that what you're saying?
That is what we are saying.
So I think the scripture is, forgive the so-and-so.
For they know not what they do.
Or they shall inherit the earth.
The meek.
The other earth.
The meek.
Yes, that's the one.
Yes, but again, the idea is that you are creating your own reality by shifting yourself to an earth that already exists. That has the energy you prefer.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely, brother. Hallelujah.
All right, good day. Shivai.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Good, so good to be with you again after what seemed so many nows. It's been a long time.
So many nows. What an interesting concept.
Yes.
Since there is actually only one now. All the different nows, all the apparently different nows are the same now from a different point of view.
Thank you.
So you've had many points of view of the now.
My question is, who were and are Jesus, Mohammed, Krishna, Buddha, and why does it seem that they've been carjacked?
I do not believe any of them drove an automobile.
I mean by religion, what we perceive as religion.
Yes. They are reflective representations of the collective consciousness. In a sense, you could say they are the world spirit, the world soul. Does that make sense, first of all? They are reflections of the world spirit. Your entire planet's oversouls all collected into one expression. Each of those are reflections of that idea. Each and every one of them fundamentally were telling you the same message we're telling you now. You are also Christ's, Buddha's, Krishna's, Muhammad's, Wavoka's. You are all the same as them. Every single one of them said that to all of you. But because of the compartmentalization that created disconnection and fear, the majority of your planet could not handle seeing that reflection, because it only reminded them of how unlike that reflection they were. And when you are reminded of how unlike your true self you are, and you are compartmentalized in that way, then the reaction from fear that occurs is called resentment. And when you resent being told that you are not who you really know you are, then the fear grows and the resentment grows, and you wind up usually killing the one reminding you of who you are. And also you create the idea of intermediaries saying, well, I know that's a lot to handle, so I'll filter it for you for a small nominal charge. So you create more dissociation, more in-betweeners, and you remove and remove and remove and remove yourselves from the original idea that you are also the same as the messenger. Does that make sense?
Yes, completely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, in this day and age on your planet, it is all about, again, remembering that none of those beings wanted you to follow them. What they were saying is, you are all like them, so be like them. When your Jesus said, I am the way, he did not mean follow him in a religious context. He meant, be the way I am, because you are that way. So, the idea also is for all of you to understand that this is what the so-called second coming actually is. is the awakening within each and every one of you of your own Christ consciousness, your own Buddha nature, your own Krishna spirit, your own holy Vavoka. All of that is all who you are, and you've created reflections down through the ages to guide you, to remind you. But because of the disconnection in your consciousness, it didn't always take. But a few people here and there would get it. Until such time as now you have arrived at a place where you finally are beginning to understand what was said by all those reflections over the course of your so-called history. All right?
Thank you so much. I'm passing the mic, but if you could tell us what the purpose of the pyramids are as I pass it.
Well, it depends on what pyramids you are talking about. Now, if you are talking about the idea of your great pyramid in Egypt, and you are talking about the idea of many of the pyramids in different places on your planet that were all built about the same time, many, many thousands of years ago, they are for the purpose primarily, they have many functions, but they are for the purpose primarily of allowing you to remember many of the things we are talking about here. They are, in a sense, remembering places. They are collection places. They are focal points for consciousness. They are embodiments of knowledge and information so it will not be forgotten over and over and over and over again. That is their primary initiation purpose, is to recall what you have forgotten, what you may feel you have lost, to be standing there as a reminder for all time. You follow? Thank you.
Bashar.
Good day.
Good day, Bashar. Since all of the opportunity and the love and the next steps for us are in the now,
Yes.
what is our primary resistance to the now? And what is there anything other than ourselves and our own belief systems that is interfering with our decision to participate in the now fully?
There is nothing but your own belief systems that are creating that hesitation. Nothing.
Okay.
Zero. Except the belief that there is something.
So but doesn't there seem to be, I know it's shifting, but
Yes.
this en masse past orientation that is shifting into the now orientation. No one else has a hold on us, like, say, for instance, the MCEO freedom teachings have this whole
Would you like there
thing.
to be someone who has control over you?
I certainly would not.
Why are you then exploring this idea?
I'm not exploring it. It's just someone has come onto my path with new information. I'm curious what you think of that information.
We understand that there are many individuals who exist on your planet who are acting in negative ways out of integrity. We understand that.
Right.
But it doesn't matter what anyone else does. As long as you maintain the proper vibration of your preference, then even if someone else's intention is to do you harm, it will not affect your reality. The world can fall apart all around you. If you are on a certain wavelength, you will not be touched. In fact, you will never encounter them.
Agreed.
Do you understand?
Agreed, yes.
So
thank
if you do encounter them, then look upon it as an opportunity to recognize how you may assist them in offering them an alternative through your behavior of another way to be, but don't insist that they take it, otherwise you're just like them.
Right.
So the idea is that offer them the opportunity to go your way, while at the same time politely decline their offering to go their way.
I shall do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Quite a ways to find a crystal skull that had been...
Speak up, speak up, speak up.
I'll speak closer. It's my sexy Bashar voice.
Oh, all right.
All right. So I drove quite a ways to find a Labradorite skull that had been talking to me in my dreams for the past several weeks.
Quite a ways. Define quite a ways.
Over 600 miles,
600 miles?
all things being relative.
We are light years away.
Yes. And right here at the same time.
Exactly.
Blessings.
Which is how we travel.
So we are here. I brought my new friend with me.
Oh, all right.
Care to offer additional insight on my skull, which I'll...
An
I'll hold up.
appropriate word. Insight. The idea is that many of the so-called crystal skulls on your planet are literally repositories of knowledge. They have certain kinds of crystalline patterns embodied within them that allow them to be downloaded with knowledge and to download knowledge back into you. It is no accident that they are shaped in the way they are shaped according to the human skull, because in the human skull, there is actually a shape, an antenna, a pattern that is built for receiving information from higher frequencies. So the idea is that if you can flash the information into the skull for storage, then other people can come along and use the same skull by identifying with it, by harmonizing with it in frequency, and receive the download flash from the skull of the information you may have stored there. Does that help?
Yes.
All right. Does that answer your question sufficiently? Yes, no, maybe?
No.
Oh, all right. What other direction and more specificity would you like to take this in?
Specifically, this skull.
Yes.
So in general...
You mean specifically for you?
Correct. So understanding generally the purpose of skulls
Yes.
and transmitting information.
All right. Well, may I ask you a question?
Yes, you may.
Upon receiving the skull, have you in any way, shape, or form found yourself more inclined to act in the direction of your excitement than you were before?
Equally, I would say more intense, not necessarily more inclined, but more intense.
More intense translates as what?
A dynamic range, a dynamic sphere is what's coming through.
A broader perspective?
Sure.
Are you sure?
More like an upgrade in octane.
All right. Then it is the permission slip that you felt you needed with your current belief system to allow you to give yourself permission to be more of yourself.
Woo!
Does that help you?
I like that.
All right.
All right.
Bashar, thank you so much.
You are welcome. To you, good day.
Good day to you. My name is Ray G, and I'm asking for your guidance and help with one thing.
One thing.
One thing on my heart this whole weekend was to be able to sustain this openness, this love, this connection. There's experiences in my life where things seem to shift and I go into extreme darkness. My lover becomes my enemy.
Oh, how exciting.
Yes, it is exciting, I agree. And I feel
that was your answer. Pay attention. The way you, to use your word, sustain, and remember, the word itself, hearkening back to the meaning, the word itself, sustain, implies difficulty in doing so.
Yes.
You follow?
Yes.
Because if you're actually always staying in the vibration you prefer, you do not need to sustain anything. It just is where you want to be all the time. No matter what's happening, that's where you want to be all the time.
Yes.
Therefore, by looking at these changes as exciting, as opportunities to learn something more about yourself, then you will be overwhelmed with curiosity and excitement, so overwhelmed with curiosity and excitement no matter what happens in your life, that you will only define it in a positive way, and by only defining it in a positive way, you'll be so excited that your thoughts will never even go to the idea of how do I sustain this, because you will be sustaining it. Just by being so excited about everything that happens, no matter what it is. When in our civilization, someone says, things didn't go as I expected, we say, congratulations! Now you know you're on the right path. So if you treat the things that happen in your life in that way and don't define them in a negative way using such words as enemy and sustain, then you will find that you don't even have to think about it. The energy will just always be there because you will always be having a relationship with whatever's going on that's always defined as positive, because you know that whatever happens in your life must be happening for a positive reason, because there is no other choice for you.
Yes.
Do you follow?
Thank you.
Is this helping?
Yes, it is.
Why, thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to continue with the questions. Is that all right, Bashar?
A few more in the timing window that exists.
Okay, a few more. We have.
One moment.
Okay, we don't want to neglect anyone. That's
Someone is expressing the idea that they have a neglected feeling.
Okay. I do have a bit of a
Not
line.
that it is perfect as it is.
I have a line, but I'm going to let you go first because we don't want any neglect to happen here. Here you
Now,
go.
may I ask, how could that have been more positively expressed?
This side is eager and anxious.
Eager. Anxiety is a negative energy. Excited. We are excited to communicate. Not we are feeling neglected, we are anxious. Because then that's the vibratory state you create. Make sense? Thank you.
Howdy, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you. I am wondering how the beings on your planet follow your bliss and your excitement. What brings you joy? And if you have music festivals like this on your planet or planets?
We sometimes do, although they are not exactly like yours, but they are all completely, absolutely spontaneously created. There is no planning, because everyone is following their absolute bliss at every moment. We simply know that at some time, if a number of people wish to play together, they will simply automatically find each other exactly when and where they need to. Everything in our world is simply automatically synchronous because we have allowed the creation of unity to come from the absolute validation of every individual being themselves. That's how it works in our world. That's how it can work in yours.
What kind of music do y'all listen to?
We listen to the music that we make. It is, in some cases, similar to certain kinds of refrains that you would call Tibetan. It is, in many cases, a three-part harmony, more often than not. We have very simple instruments, nothing complicated, mostly percussion and string. There are a few wind instruments, but again, kept very simple. There are other kinds of sounds that are made also through the manipulation of energies and other substances you do not have on your planet.
Are there any simple mantras that y'all use that you would like to share for our mental upliftment?
All our permission slips, any tool, any technique, any ritual is a permission slip that you give yourself to give yourself permission to be more of who you are. Thus then, recognize that our mantra simply is, be true to yourself. Act on your excitement with integrity, without expectation. But remember that we are telepathic in our reality. So in that sense, we do not have linguistic mantras as you do on your planet. We simply have states of being, resonances that are representative of certain ideas, certain expressions, certain realities, bubble realities that different people can participate in at different times depending upon how they shift their frequency. The best mantra is the one that you feel works for you. Because your own imagination is keyed to you, and whatever you are attracted to works best for you. All right? There will be a brief amount of time remaining for this transmission.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Hi. So it's fabulous to hear the truth that we're actually all simply here to be ourselves.
Yes.
It just breaks everything down, and so...
Yes, you are all different ways that creation has of experiencing itself.
Right.
So the idea of your purpose and your mission is really just to be who you are as best as you can be, and that's the only real mission you all have. How you do it is simply your own personal expression of the mission, but you all have the same purpose. You all have the same mission to be who you actually are.
Yes. So here's what I'm wondering, because simultaneously it seems that we are in a process of rebirthing ourselves into ourselves.
Yes.
And so it means that people are all simultaneously at different points in time on different wavelengths.
Yes.
Having to refine, purge, clear, purify to reach that place in the now.
But there are also groups that are moving generally together at the same time, even though there may be differences within the individuals within the group.
Yes. So my question, the root of my question is, how can we really support and more compassionately help one another through the process?
By being the perfect example yourself and giving everyone an opportunity to see that you can live your life by simply acting on your highest joy every moment, and that the universe will actually support you in that behavior. Thus, by being a living example, you give everyone the best opportunity to see that it can work for them too, if they so choose. But you have to allow them to unconditionally choose whatever they wish, even if it's not that.
And what if someone's in trauma, and what if that person has regressed and isn't any longer present now, and is in a state of consciousness that's a memory, something from the past, a trigger?
Then again, all you can do is assure them with unconditional love that there is always a way out of the darkness if they will simply look for the light within themselves. This is the meaning of what you call your yin-yang symbol, where you have a dark side and a light side, but you will notice that within the darkness there is a little bit of light, and within the light there is a little bit of darkness. Both sides are always accessible from either side if you simply look within. And the idea, again, is that if you provide the atmosphere of acceptance, allowance, and unconditional love, and simply let that person choose what it is they believe is best for them, even if it is a negative choice, then you are still allowing them the opportunity to decide what is best for them. Please remember, you are all eternal spirits. You are all eternal spirits. If you exist now in some form, you always will. You don't need to be in a hurry to change everyone in this reality. Some people come into a reality specifically to prove they cannot change. Thus, by going to someone who says, oh, I can help you change, and then them refusing to change, they get to prove their point, so you've actually still served them anyway. So it's all about how you define it, but at the same time, give them the opportunity to know there's another choice. But you have to allow them to not see that that choice exists. Otherwise, you're not being unconditionally loving in the way that you are saying they also could be. Make sense? Thank you. We will extend to each and every one of you once again our deepest appreciation and our unconditional love at the creation of this link, this bridge between our respective civilizations. And we bid you all an exciting and creative and loving and synchronous, spontaneous and paradoxical good day.
All right, I'll say good day to you. This day of your time, how are you all? All right. We thank you once again for the co-creation of this interaction. And we will begin this transmission with the idea called Children of the Future, which is you. And this is what we mean by this idea. Most people on your planet at this time think of themselves as the product of what has happened to them in the past. And as we have discussed, of course, many times, you're actually creating the experience of your past from the present. As you define yourself in the moment, of course, you create a different past that makes linear sense, space-time sense, for the person that you have changed yourself to be in the moment, creating a past that makes sense in terms of what you would have to have been in order to become who you are. And you change this many times in many ways over the course of your lifetime, so that at any given moment, you may not know that a few moments ago you would have remembered a completely different past. Because when you create a new past, you generally do so to allow it to make sense as if it's been the past you've always had. So you don't have to think about it. It simply exists then, comes into being then to support the person you say you are now. And you've done this over and over again. Not only individually, but even collectively. As we reminded you at one particular point when we were discussing this topic previously, you have had many different collective timeline pasts as an entire society, even as an entire civilization. The example we gave before is the idea that even though at this point most of you would say that your President Kennedy was assassinated in your year of 1963, it actually used to be true that he didn't die until 1985. But the idea is there were repercussions from that particular reality that collectively you did not prefer. So you changed things to allow there to be a different history where what had happened when he lived until 1985 would not happen. Therefore, this happens all the time, though most of you will not remember the 1985 history at this point. Now, we understand that we have explained that it is really your present that creates the past, but we're going to use in the following example for this subject, for this topic at this time, the linear idea since you are so used to using it. But we're going to help you use it in a different way. You are very used to the idea, as we said, of thinking that your past supports who you are now in the present. But what we are asking you to do is to start to shift so that it's not so much that you inform who you are now by who you've been, but inform who you are now by who you will become, your future selves. It is now time to cross the threshold to start defining who you are now by who you will be. So the idea is similar to what you are experiencing here with us, because again, colloquially speaking, euphemistically speaking, metaphorically speaking, I am the channel's future self. We exist simultaneously, of course. But from your space-time perspective, I exist in a reality that you relate to as the idea of the future. And yet you can see that by the agreement that we have made, by the expression of this channeling and this communication, I, as the so-called future self of the channel sitting before you, over time, rub off on him. Inform him of how he can become more his version of me in his own reality, so that he begins to live a life not informed by the past, but informed by the future. All of you have the capacity to do this. And it's an easy thing to do in using your imagination. Now again, following the rule that it's not about insistence, but just as an imagination exercise that can help create a shift in your vibration, it's okay to use your imagination to start imagining versions of your future self, not only in the idea of a connection you may have to another being in another civilization, in another dimension, in another reality, on a spirit level, what have you, but also the idea of the future self that you can allow yourself to become while on earth, mirroring that idea of the future self that you are connecting to elsewhere in the same way that the channel connects to us. So using your imagination, you can begin to paint a picture. You can start with the idea of a future self that is similar to the idea of the kind of future self I am to the channel. You can imagine a counterpart, another version, another extension of the same oversoul that you are, living a life on another planet and another reality that is more representative of the ideal situation that you prefer in your own world. You can begin that way. And as you begin to form a connection in that imagination and play that story out of what that life may be like, and allow it to become more and more solid, more and more real, again, without the insistence that it has to be, quote unquote, accurate, you can begin to entrain the vibration of your body now to begin to accept the state of being that is representative of that idealized future self that you prefer to be. And as you play out daily scenarios of that version of you, you will start at a certain point, when you become used to it, when you practice it, start to feel yourself taking on some of those qualities. You will start to mirror and mimic the way you see that being functioning in its reality. And that will start to rub off and start to inform your present experience on earth. You will start to see that you will do things a little bit differently. You will start to think a little bit differently. You will start to see things from a different perspective that is more representative of that future self. And bit by bit, as you build that relation and build that connection and strengthen that state of being and make it more real for yourself as a real reality, you will begin to feel that energy within yourself. You will begin to relate to the idea a little bit more than you have related to the idea that your past informs you, that your past has made you what you are. You will start to leave that behind and start to realize that it is your future history that now begins to inform you. And you will start to behave in that way and feel in that way and start, as we said, to do things that are a little bit more representative of who you can become on earth as your version of that future self, just as the channel is becoming more his version of us. That will create you to be a child of the future, coming from the future to your present, in the same way that you have for so long come from the past, in your mind, in your energy, into the present. Now it's time to tip that scale to the other side and allow you to come from, allow the information to come from the future to you. And let it be real, because it is real. It is a real reality. You just have to get used to it in the same way you're used to thinking of yourself as being a product of the past. You are now becoming a product of the future. Do you understand? All right. Now, we will help crystallize this a little bit more strongly a little later in the transmission during your holotope meditation. But for now, we simply wish to lay out this idea so that you can begin to let it sink in that this is a different perspective, and allow yourself to begin to really be willing to let go of the idea that you are formed from the past and start at least considering and entertaining the concept that you're actually informed from the future instead. Yes? So then, at this timing, we thank you once again for the gift you are giving to us in allowing us to interact with each and every one of you. And we ask you now, in what way may we continue to be of service to you?
Hi.
Andrew, good day.
This is the most beautiful day. I am right where I'm supposed to be. Everything's divine.
It is.
It is. So, first and foremost, I got a little sad yesterday when I came here because I want to make sure that Daryl feels appreciated. I am so grateful and appreciative for Bashar, but
all right.
He's still happy.
All right. Now, it is very kind of you to wish that the channel understands he is appreciated, and he does, but that's not a reason for you to be sad. Because, again, the idea is that if you are holding on to the concept of the channel feeling appreciation, which is something that grows, but you are sad, then the vibration of the sadness is diminishing the appreciation. Do you understand?
I do.
So, there is no reason for you to feel sad. The channel is perfectly fine.
Great.
Remember that we are taking care of things.
You are.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
moving on. All right. So, a couple months ago, I had the divine revelation of everything you just talked about.
How synchronous of you.
Yes, it's great. So, I had the divine revelation that I need to let go of my past. Yes. I grew up with a very traumatic background that I...
Did you?
Well, I use my permission slip
Yes.
to believe that my
All right.
traumatic life made me who I am today.
And now you know that's not necessarily so.
Yes.
All right.
So,
however,
yes.
that doesn't invalidate that it brought you to the understanding that you don't have to lock into it anymore. Yes? So
Yes.
you have used a past you now no longer have. All right.
So so a couple months ago, I felt like I need to let go of all of this. I need to let go of my childhood to
Yes.
truly become the person I am today.
Yes.
But then, as stated before, I use it as my permission slip.
Yes.
So if I am truly in love with myself, like I think I am, do I need to let go of that past to help me to evolve into the person I want to be? Or can I hold on to my trauma?
Do you wish to hold on to your trauma?
I think it depends on the moment. You know, like in
yes,
this moment,
that's your
I'm so
decision.
happy. Like I'm so happy, and I am so grateful for my family
All right.
and all of the chaos.
If you
But other times I
believe,
hate it.
if you believe that you need the trauma as a permission slip, then you'll hold on to it. If you believe you don't need it anymore to be the person that you prefer to be, then you won't hold on to it. It's that simple. You can always recall the idea of the so-called past without necessarily being controlled by it. Just because you are aware of it doesn't mean that it affects you. It can be a neutral observation. This was the path I took. I validate it for bringing me where I am today, but I in no way, shape, or form, even though I might neutrally observe that trauma was involved, need to hold on to the vibrational energy of the trauma in order to be who I prefer to be. So you can do both as long as you neutralize the idea and you don't necessarily need it to feel like it's affecting you anymore. Unless, again, that's what you prefer at the moment because you don't necessarily believe that you can do it any other way. But that's up to you.
Okay. So either way, it won't hold me back from getting to where I want to go.
As long as you know it will not hold you back, then no, it won't.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next question. So we all know this is an illusion, that we're dreaming this reality. So
Yes.
where do other people play into this? Are other people real? Are they
Yes.
just me? Like,
The versions of them you interact with are created by you out of your consciousness. That doesn't mean they're not real in their own right. And they're creating their version of you to appear in their reality by a shared agreement on a higher level, so that you can have an experience of interacting with them, but you are the one creating the simulations that you interact with as your versions of them. Their versions of themselves may be very different.
so am I manifesting their actions or creating their actions?
You are creating your part of attracting yourself into any scenario where they appear to be taking a particular action, but you have to discern why you're creating that for your own reasons, while they may be creating it for their reasons. You have to take just responsibility for your part of the creation and use it in the best possible way you can.
So is what makes something true what I believe to be true? Or is it all?
Yes, except for the idea of what we call the 5 laws, because that is a literal description of the nature and structure of existence itself, and those can't change. But everything else is a perspective, a belief, an opinion.
Okay, so
Yes.
so it all exists, but it's what I draw my attention to that's going to exist in my reality, correct?
Yes, and that will be at that moment your truth.
Okay. So the more I pay attention to my truth, will I get further and further away from the 2 other beliefs? How is this making sense?
You mean a negative-based belief?
Like if one person's saying one thing, another person is saying another thing, and I'm choosing to believe this.
Yes.
The more I focus on believing this, is the farther I'm getting away from the chaos of both of those choices.
Yes. If the belief that you are buying into doesn't contain the idea of needing chaos, then you won't experience it. Remember that there is one thing, there is another thing, but what you're choosing, even though it may seem to be a combination of the 2, is actually its own reality. Does that help?
It does help.
All right.
A couple more things. 1 second. Why do I talk this way?
Why do you talk what way?
The way that I'm talking. You know, people are like, are you from New York? Is it a speech impediment? What is this?
How the fuck should I know?
I didn't know if, like, maybe it's from, like, a past life. I'm, like, carrying on, like, maybe a past accent, you know?
Everything is present, but you might be connecting to another person who speaks that way because for some reason you believe it helps you get your point across more clearly.
Except no one hears me, but that's okay.
I beg your pardon?
Nothing. See, exactly. Okay. I appreciate you. Okay.
And we deeply appreciate you. You are unique. Enjoy your uniqueness. Enjoy your expression. It may not always be this way, but for now, obviously, you believe it needs to be. It serves you in some way, shape, or form.
So I have a lot of childlikeness, and I choose not to let that go, because I feel I feel this deep connection to children. I feel children know the way.
Yes, in a sense, they do.
So I have gone down the path of always working with children.
All right.
And my dream is I want to create my own school of consciousness.
Go right ahead. Nothing is stopping you.
Okay. So I'm still on my path.
All right.
All right. And I'll finish up. Who is Anderson? Do you know?
Anderson?
Yes.
You have to be more definitive. There are many people on your planet named Anderson.
Is there a connection?
Is this something that you have discovered within yourself by stretching your consciousness out?
Yes.
Then for now, it can be considered the idea of a guide.
Okay.
What does the feeling do for you when you make that connection?
Love.
All right. So it's giving you an opportunity to recognize the state from which to come in everything that you do in your life. Especially loving yourself as much as you possibly can. Yes?
Yes.
All right.
Can you talk about the diagnosis we have here on Earth of ADHD?
In most cases, it doesn't really exist. The idea is simply that the speed of certain people's mentality is speeding up. And when they are allowed to focus in the way that they actually need to focus, they won't necessarily be seen as being out of sync. Yes?
Yes.
I've answered you.
You have answered me.
Thank you.
Yes.
Now, get the fuck out of here.
Thank you.
Apologies to the hypersensitive. But you know, when in New York, and good day.
Good day.
What are you waiting for?
Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to say anything yet.
Oh, all right. It's your time. You can begin.
Well, first of all, I think you're a real sweetie.
Oh, why, thank you. Gosh, shucks, golly gee. There, that should balance out the other thing.
Tally-ho. So when I did this ticket yesterday to get the question.
Yes.
I wasn't really anticipating coming up here. I really wasn't thinking about really doing it.
Well, obviously, on some level, you must have been.
I know.
So, is there something you would simply like to discuss? You don't have to have a question. You can make a statement.
Yeah, okay. That's great, because I didn't have a question.
Oh, all right.
But what I did want to kind of get some feeling about, I guess.
Speak up.
I know that I'm millions and millions of years old. I'm planet dust. I'm dinosaur dust. I'm all of it combined to make who I am now as far as my spirit. And what I was picking up recently is that the earth is billions of years old, and there's been many, many, many civilizations that have gone to the point we're at now, and they haven't crossed over yet, and this is going to be the one that does. Going to be the one that goes to the fifth dimension, that really does breaks through the matrix.
Yes, but again, please do remember, you never actually change the world you're on. You shift to another version of Earth that's already that way.
Yeah.
So yes, many people on your planet will finally complete the cycle and go beyond it. Some will not, but many now will. This is the age of transformation. So you have an opportunity to understand there are many different storylines from different directions, different times, different places, both in your own so-called history and in other histories throughout the galaxy, that are now focusing on finishing their stories and perhaps transforming their stories in certain ways by coming to Earth at this time. Earth is like, at this time, a lens, a focal point for all of these stories to go through their transformations in a way where they may finally be able to complete a very long, millions of years cycle for certain things and move on to something a little bit different. This is one of the things we actually will be discussing in a future transmission, as you have already been told about, called the Angels of Orion.
That's stellar.
In a word.
Yes.
And so, anything else?
I think that's it.
Why, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
How will the types of food and our relationship with food change for our benefit during this ascension process?
Well, as you change for your own benefit, you may find that there are certain things that you're simply not attracted to eat anymore. As you change your own frequency, you will be attracted to what you truly need, and you will let go of what you truly do not. It's as simple as that. You don't have to force it. It will be automatic if you are clear within yourself and you allow yourself to go with the natural biological flow of what it is you truly need at any given moment. Then you will know exactly what it is you need to eat and what it is you don't. Now, some people will find that as they refine and upgrade, so to speak, their vibrational frequency, you will probably most likely on average eat less. And you will probably most likely on average eat things that are lighter in frequency. But again, it depends on the person. It depends on the path. It depends on why you're choosing to experience that. You have to, once again, take it on a person-by-person, case-by-case basis as to what is correct and appropriate for that particular individual. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
But there is the overall average that as you lighten up, most likely so will your diet, because you simply lose the urge to eat things that are no longer relevant or vibrationally compatible with you. Yes?
Makes sense.
I know, that's why I said it.
Besides wearing them and putting them around our homes, what are your recommendations for us on how we can use crystals?
Well, like anything, they are permission slips. You understand that concept, yes?
Yes.
Well, if you understand that concept, why are you asking? Because you know it's up to you to decide that whatever it is you happen to be attracted to use, in whatever way your imagination is attracted to use it, that means you're attracted to it for the reason that for some reason it matches your belief system at that moment in a way that allows you to circumvent your belief system and go further. So it's really up to you to decide what works for you. We have given you the underlying concept of permission slips, and that's really all you need to understand. You can use them in any way you so desire, any way you're attracted to. Now, of course, as a representation physically of energy, they are, of course, a certain arrangement of energy patterns that represents the concept of information storage and retrieval. That's their basic function in the collective consciousness of your planet. They store information, they release information. They are conduits of information. They are conduits of energy. So the idea is, you know the basic. Use it in whatever way, in whatever combinations seem to make sense to you, that you're attracted to at this moment. Because that's going to be vibrationally resonant with your belief system and will allow certain things to change. Because you will be changing them because you believe they can by using those permission slips. Yes?
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
It does.
Anything else?
Yes. Humans have been channeling for thousands of years, and now with the emergence of computer technology, is it possible for extraterrestrials or non-physical entities to communicate through computer technology, and if so, how?
Yes. As we have actually said, when your scientists finally create a device that expresses what they have called artificial intelligence, you will start to realize in time that intelligence is not artificial. The only thing, in a sense, that's so-called artificial is the device that you have created to be sophisticated enough that allows a real intelligence to begin to communicate to you through it. So the biggest surprise when you create artificially intelligent computers will be to discover that what you're actually talking to is your own higher mind.
That's really cool.
It's whatever temperature you wish it to be.
And finally, one last question.
Yes.
Over the past few years, humans have become connected in an unprecedented way through social media and the internet.
Yes.
I'm curious your thoughts on social media and how we can use it to benefit humanity.
Like anything, of course, it can be used positively or negatively, which often it is on your planet. But the idea is that it is a representation, a symbolic beginning of the idea of recognizing how connected all of you actually are. And it is the beginning, the very, very early beginnings, the seed of the concept of awakening into the telepathic communication you can all experience with each other when you're on the same wavelength.
Amazing. Thank you
and
so
it's
much.
also something that can start to entrain you to understand that information is accessible everywhere, everywhen, no matter where you are. As long as you frequency match the information that you seek, that will be the information you receive. This so-called idea of the Akashic records is an outdated, old-fashioned way of talking about the fact that information is simply available everywhere, everywhen, because everything is here and now. So if you simply match the frequency of a particular idea, that is the information that will holographically be presented to you. And therefore, the idea of the interconnections on your social media and your ability to search the internet are the beginnings of going into a state of being that can allow those particular attributes and abilities to grow. Since channeling is a natural state. Anytime, that's why we encourage you to follow your passion, because anytime you are acting on your passion, you're in a channeling state. Yes?
Yeah.
Does that help?
That helps. Thank you so much for being here.
You are so welcome.